Well, it's Marilyn Hawes again, and she gets up every day, she tells me, full of beans until she reads the newspapers. Well, stop it. That's an easy
No,
answer.
I don't
What?
read I don't read the newspapers because if you buy the newspapers, it's hours out of date because this is fly by the seat of your pants news, isn't it? Every second, every minute it's changing. So I don't waste my time on newspapers because it's all old news and fish and chip wrapping, isn't it? By the
Well,
time you get to
it's
lunchtime.
background information it's particularly good for because they do dig a bit deeper than the average broadcast.
Oh, that is true, but it's like it's coming in at such a blow by blow sort of amount of stuff it's just, you can't keep pace with it, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you what you can't keep pace with, and it's the same boring old story about asylum seekers.
Oh,
Well, but I mean, they're getting very sophisticated. They're not happy enough pinching stuff from the local corner shop now. They're now going down the big streets of our capital and stealing whatever they can from the posh shops, organised by gangs, of
it's
course.
organized gangs, absolutely. It's
And
organized gangs.
yeah, I mean, they're going into Gucci, Prada, they're going into all the top shops if you're into designer stuff. And they're coming out with, well, handbags by the not 100, but you don't have to. You only need to pinch two of those handbags and you're rich. And they're taking them back to their four-star hotels that we've provided for with our tax dollars, pounds. And we come and say, oh, this can't go on. Well, do something about it, Britain. What can we do?
Send them back. Just turn the boats around. Bye bye. Off you go. I mean, I don't see how this one-to-one thing's going to work. And I don't see either how the potential of identity, because they're going to lie where they come from. They're going to make up their names. So I can't see how having an ID card, and that's just an excuse, I think, because they've wanted this for ages, to keep a track on us who don't cause crime. And you're not going to get the truth from these people anyway. So they're going to make up, any old name, aren't they? They've got no paperwork to prove where they've come from. So I don't understand why it's so complicated. Well, the complication, of course, is caused by the EHCR, isn't it? And that has got to go. That has got to be looked at. And how are we manipulating that as opposed to what does it actually stand for? And it has to. You have to get rid of all this human rights lefty stuff. You really do. I mean,
Well, there's two things here. One is the ECHR, of course. Now, other countries get around that by adapting it, let's put it that way. It wants to go. Well, it doesn't want to go. It's making lawyers a fortune, but it has to go.
yeah.
The other is our own Tony Blair homegrown Human Rights Act. That's got to go.
I don't know why people still revere him as a brilliant prime minister. I thought he was dreadful. I mean, he's the one that actually set up the family courts as they are, which miserably fail innocent parents. He's the one that did, bringing in the migrants. He did all that. He did the ECHR thing. He's absolutely awful. I mean, he was corrupt. He was terribly corrupt, and yet I don't understand why people revere him. I think their memories are very short. I never liked him, but I don't like politicians anyway. That's that's a
Well, he
given.
was a good salesman and good presenter of his particular wares that he tried to sell.
Hmm.
And let's give you some hope, Marilyn, because in a recent poll and investigation at various unis to find out whether they would, stupid statement I'm about to make, whether they're lefties or righties or middleies. Of
Okay.
course, the lefties with a vengeance. So let's take Cambridge as one of our two tops and universities. Actually, things are improving, believe it or not. There's only 77% of them now lefties. I mean, they're quite student lefties, which makes them on the border of extreme. But there's 14% right. Now, that's a victory compared with what it used to be.
Mm, mm,
Closing
mm.
everybody down, no platforming, whatever the students' union individuals wanted. And the trans thing is still going on there, even though it's against the Supreme Court's decision. And
Absolutely.
certain Labour MPs are still hanging out for women and men being, well, we'll not dig up that argument. The Supreme Court got it right.
Yeah.
Women, men are men. Okay. But there is a movement back to reality, put it that way. It is slowly changing. So there's a bit of good news. We thought I'd throw that a bit of good news in. First thing.
I don't understand because it's always been the same at universities, hasn't it? And colleges. They're all a bit lefty, aren't they? I remember when my lot were at uni, they were all, I don't know, they
Well, I
don't.
mean, don't forget, it's the university's lecturers. I mean, in
Yeah, yeah, that's
anatomy, when
right.
we were teaching, for
Yeah,
goodness sake,
that's
you
right.
can't see, you don't take anything blue in the staff room, you're in trouble. Yeah,
Only pornography.
yes. Listen, the other thing we're talking about control in all this is the control that's slyly coming in many guises. What you can say. People are horrified. We're in Spain at the moment. We are between Spain and Portugal, as you well know. And what happens when you start talking about what you can say in Britain, what you can say in Spain, and practically every other country in Europe and in America, and you tell them what you can't say? What? You can't say that? And honestly, this last month it's got worse. They
Mm.
put now a special control unit in force to control the media. That's me and you, by the way, the media. Not literally everybody's media, because they've set laws. There are three laws that they've set up. One is allegedly looking after our children and what they can watch. No,
Mhm.
you can't watch Pornhub if you're under 18. But it's nothing to do with it. If you analyze it, it's all about general control. You now in Britain can't dare not say anything about immigration.
Sorry.
You dare not say anything about the government that's going to harm you unless you're a fellow politician and unless you're actually speaking in the House of Commons. Now, if this isn't Russia and China, what is it?
It's ridiculous. And yet there he stood. Let me refresh our memories again, which we spoke about the other day. There he was as he spoke to Donald Trump, almost coughing and, coughing and spluttering about, oh, we really believe free
Freedom.
speech here. And there was a thing that Vance came out with and said, I saw it on X about, do people in Britain really think they've got free speech? No, we haven't. And you can't. It's just awful. I mean, they refuse to listen. They were elected by society, and they are failing miserably. Those that were in the real red zones of voting don't like them either. They are not listening to the very fact about immigration, and they're dancing around the edges, and they're not really dealing with it. And all the people are who are even in Epping, I mean, they're not your real rebels. They just want their kids to be able to walk around the streets safely. And then there was, and then they brought some migrants in, didn't they, undercover at midnight and snooked them into this hotel. And then, of course, as will happen, people will find out. And there they were, these people hanging on the balconies, laughing at our people who were objecting to them being there. I mean, along with turning the boats back, if you actually said there's no free gym membership, there's no dentistry that you can get free, there's no Samsung mobile phone for you, there's no beautiful four-course lovely dinners in a four-star hotel. If you took these things that anybody I know would like to have some of those things, if you took those away, then well, you're not going to get anything when you come here.
We should be doing what many countries are doing and simply saying, welcome if you're a genuine
That's different.
immigrant running away from a bad situation. Welcome, but you're going to get no benefits from us for the
That's
next
right.
5 years. Your
But then,
benefit is safety.
but then you had two Afghan men, wasn't it? Afghan asylum seekers that were in a hotel who raped that 12-year-old girl. I mean, sorry, Feel sorry for you. But back you go to Afghanistan. That's the thing that was made on GB News this morning, that if we are going to do this ridiculous, gimmick, one, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but you should be this one in, one out. Yeah.
It's
Um,
impossible. I've never come across
it
a
is. Of
like, how
course
can
it
it
is.
possibly work?
Of
I
course.
mean, who we're going to get? We're going to get rubbish.
Well, but what you should be saying is
Yeah.
those people who we send back go back to their actual country, not back to France, because they're going to be back on the next boat coming in. Why should France want them any more than we do? If you've come from Eritrea, you're going back to Eritrea. And that's why the human rights thing has got to be amended or toned down completely to rescue this country. It's absurd, and so many people are up in arms about it, and they are not listening to the public that voted them in. These people are public servants. They seem to have missed that. Our taxes are paying their salaries. And what are they doing? Ruining the country. There is, I don't understand it. I've been saying for ages, he's a traitor. They are traitors. And now that word is coming into media now, general media. We have laws about traitors that go back donkey's years. Why don't we use it?
We do. And let me give you the real situation. It's a shop window. The boat people, that's all. Tip of the iceberg. Call it what you like. The real problem, and we don't even have stats on this, that's another lie from this government. You're bound to know how many people are in from abroad, our universities, and decide
Absolutely.
to stay.
Absolutely.
That is illegal now. That's where your real numbers are.
But they have to know that ethnicity, because every
Exactly.
single form you do, even with the dementia stuff that I do for Roger, there is the question, what is your ethnicity? There is the question, what is your gender? What's that got to do with my husband who's 80? There it is on every single form you fill in. It doesn't matter what you do. There are those two questions. So they do have the data. They absolutely have the data. It's on your what is it when you have to sign up for the census? It's on that. When you have to do the voting register, the polling thing, and you have to put who's in your house and all of that. It's there as well. You can't do a form without those two questions that are asked. So they do have the data. It was the same when the Pakistanis were doing all these gangs, and I was saying I can remember going on Sky News years ago when Kay Burley was there, and it was years ago now. And I was the first person that said, "I'm sorry, but they're Pakistani and Bangladeshi." And I said, and nobody else was saying it. Nobody else was saying it. And I said, "You've got to name it for what it is. You absolutely have to name it for what it is." And it's appalling. And there was a guy on this morning, I can't remember his name. And he was talking about there are 10,000 people in our prisons, because Anne Widdecombe was on. Oh, she's amazing. Anne Widdecombe was on talking about prisons and the state of prisons. And she wasn't wrong saying it's a job that, is not made attractive to people who want a career, because so many of them do get sort of beaten up, which is true. The pay is awful, but rightly so. She says there should be more rehabilitation, or certainly, even if you can't be really rehabilitated, you should, because they have loads of workshops in prisons, because I've seen them when I've gone in and visited. You can go, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a brickie? Do you want to be a plasterer? Do you want to be, all those trade professions are available to learn inside a prison. And, you can take exams if you want to. But she said the way it is at the moment, you haven't got a hope in hell of coming out reformed. And this guy said there are 10,000 people in prison that could be sent back to their own countries, deported ASAP. There you go. You freed up a hell of a lot of spaces. Why
Yeah.
should we put, I mean, why should we? These two Afghan asylum seekers who raped that little girl at 12, right? Why should we put them in our prison? They haven't even gone through the system yet. They're not even, they're still living in a hotel. They haven't even been given asylum yet. Get them
Actually,
out.
yeah, a lot of people will agree with that, but can I put a caveat in here, which is a bit strange? If you are the mother of that child, as an example,
Yeah.
that's been raped, you want to see that rapist banged up, preferably for life.
Oh, yes.
But if he's allowed to go back to his original country, that's not going to happen, is it?
Oh, I'm not so sure if you went back to Afghanistan or you went back to Pakistan as a rapist and you were a conviction here and you went into a prison over there, you would have it ripped off. I mean, you would be, they are merciless, aren't they? And of course, that's the whole thing about the human rights. Or if they went back to their own countries, they would be harmed by, but I don't care. I really don't care. You come over here, you don't live by our laws. You can, you come over here sexually frustrated because you can't. There was a program I watched again last night on about it, that these Somalian men or something, I think it was Patrick Christie talking about it. And it's true. They see, oh, that's right, that's right. They are being shown videos. I mean, if you do a social media thing and this is the land of milk and honey, blah, 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 you're going to go down. Well, there's no room in our prisons. There's no way of knowing who actually sent these videos. But what they're also doing is showing in these migrants in Eritrea and all places like that, young girls, teenage girls, scantily clad, out on the razzle, and this is the attractive place to come because where they are, they're sexually frustrated and they come over here thinking they can carry on like they're doing. Yeah, and that is another way of advertising. Come to the UK.
It's all about inclusivity.
Oh yes, of
Ho
course it is.
ho.
And equality, yes, of course.
Equality and diversity. Yeah, I know. This is all playing into the hands of Uncle Nigel, isn't it? Big time. He's gaining by this, and quite rightly so. And Lucy Connolly may at last be released.
And she's going to be invited to speak in Westminster. Ah, what a turnaround.
Well, a turnaround, I think, is the biggest hypocrisy I've heard of.
Oh, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just unbelievable. But you're right. She was so frustrated. The tweet that she put out was, I really don't care about any of them. Burn down the hotels or whatever it is, right? And she took that down within an hour. But she was clearly, obviously, extremely frustrated by the situation where she lived. It's just ridiculous. And I honestly laughed when I thought, oh, yeah, good, she's coming out. And then it was, she is to be invited to speak in Westminster. I thought, really? Who's inviting?
Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly.
the fact that she comes out is absolutely shocking.
Well, to cheer you up again, I've got a Christmas present already planned for you because I think it's just what you've always.
Where am I going?
Well, there you go. Oh, no, it's not a question of going anywhere. It's a question of having a dog. A dog for Christmas? Yes, but it's a robotic dog. And you should see, it's amazing. What makes it amazing? It does look like a skeletal robotic thing that makes cars, etc. But it does fantastic things. It can even understand what you say and tip its head on one side to be quizzical.
My Labrador does that.
Exactly. That's why it's designed to do that. But there's no question of feeding it. Very good, cheap to run. There's no clearing up after it the other end. So that's hygienic. It will even turn over and let you tickle its tummy. Yes. Perhaps I should buy Sir Kier stuff. No, maybe so.
I'd have to be put into a mental health institute if I thought I'm going to love and hug this lump of metal that hasn't got a heart or soul. No, thank you.
Well, I shouldn't tell you the price of my Christmas present, but I will.
No, don't bother.
It's cheaper than I thought. It's only £500.
Oh, really? That's how.
Yes.
That's about a quarter of the price of. I think my Labrador now would be about 3,000. I think now, but I mean, she understands. A dog, an intelligent Labrador has the same vocabulary of understanding as a 4-year-old. So there's a lot of words she does know. She does know. She's very intelligent. Dogs are cockapoos. But who on earth came up with this idea? Well, it has to be the Americans.
Yes, I mean, if you've got a Labrador that understands you, I'm impressed. Right, we move on quickly.
I just passed her, master's degree in English language the other day.
Yeah, I can believe that as well. We're going to net zero. Lovely thing. Things are coming out statistically now, which we've all known. £4 billion have been reallocated so that we can throw more money away. This time to keep, as we covered previously, the windmills going because you have to shut them down when it's too windy, etc., and there's too much electricity flowing. And the companies that build them allowed compensation, £700 million so far this year alone. It's cost with paying companies that own these things compensation when they can't get their electricity from said windmill into the grid. It's a scandal. But again, nobody looks at the small print. This is what's written in. The wind farms are costing a fortune, apart from the fact that a lot of them now are coming from China, and they could, and perhaps will, and are putting little devices in them to spy
Yeah,
on us. Yes.
exactly.
And the other thing that happens, of course, this week is that we need more storage so that we won't have to pay these mega grants out back to the owners of the windmill. Batteries, but they have to be special batteries
Yeah.
to accept this load, and they need developing. So that's where part of the 4 billion is going. But let me tell you the significant figure that's come out this week. There's £1,000 for everybody in the country, everybody, if we give up net zero. Will somebody do a Guy Fawkes under the Houses of Parliament? No, let's narrow it down to Ed Miliband and say, Ofsky, we
Yeah.
don't need you. £1,000 to every person. That's what it's costing. That is wicked.
Oh, it's dreadful. I mean, even Donald Trump made the point, didn't he, when he came over about the windmills? He doesn't like them. He said the same thing. I mean, whether you like him or not, I'm not a fan. I think he can be a bully and all of that, but he did speak sense when he came over here. He's not a fool. He does action things. He does get on with it. And I don't understand it. I mean, Ed Miliband is, oh dear. What can you say? What can you say? I have
He's
met
failed
him.
at, I'll tell you what,
Oh, absolutely
he's
everything.
failed at everything.
I met him when he was put in as children's minister, wasn't he, Ed Miliband? And I went to see him about the flaw in child protection, where if you were a freelance tutor, you did not need a DBS. And I went to see him, and he said, "So define tutor." I said, "Tutor is a teacher. What is it you don't understand?" Well, I mean, so what are you going to do? A grandma teaches the little boy or whatever to play the piano. I said, well, they need a DBS, don't they? If you're going to get money for something, if you're just doing it because you're granny and you're going to help your grandchild, but if you're going to earn money, that's a job, and should require anybody and everybody. But there's still schools that don't realise about, freelance tutors. And anyone freelance does not need a DBS. It's ridiculous. And Ed Miliband screwed that up as well.
Lovely guy. Yes. Well, again, his mother loves him. We'll move on to the NHS Wales. Now, again, Mr. Blair, all he did was fund principalities in Wales. And all he's done is what gave them an opportunity to form their own kingdom, their own little Wales and their own little Scotland, independent of the United Kingdom. And that's where so much money goes, you would not believe. So how does that come back down to the NHS Wales? It has an appalling history because it's extreme left-wing socialist. This is why Nigel, the aforementioned, is doing so well on the official and unofficial polls in Wales. The people of Wales are getting fed up. Why are they getting fed up? Well, as an example, if you live near the border in Wales, England, and you want an operation, you're allowed to go to England because the waiting time for hip on the border there in Oswestry and places like that, just over the border from Wales, is 1 year, approximately. If you elect to stay in, and why would you, Wales, for a much lesser hospital anyway, it's going to be at least 2 to 3 years. Now, what happens, of course, is the Welsh NHS say, oh, can you take half a dozen people, new hip, new knee, or whatever, from us? And of course, NHS Wales had to pay, under the present regime, NHS England that money. And they can't afford it. I'm not
Can't afford it. Yeah, quite.
There are more hospitals in Wales per square foot in special measures. You wouldn't believe they're in a mess. The hospital that's close to us in Wales is forever in special measures. We know a paramedic lives down the road from us when we're back in Wales, and he tells us the real truth on what is going on. The corridors are full and littered with people who are literally dying way before their time. It's a shambles. And so many things in these principalities, Principality of Wales strictly, Scotland, of course, is different, but it's the same disease that they've got.
Yeah.
And they can allocate money where they want. And they'd sooner have their own kingdom, and in Wales's place, their own language. It's just not true. Every form you fill in to get any permission in Wales, you've got the original question. Oh, yes, I want planning permission for this. Question number 2, do you accomplish the promotion of the Welsh language? If you can't prove that you do, then they're not going to give you a grant, which has nothing to do with the problem at all. And it's that goes through, and it's mad. The recent thing is that practically everybody now, and they were so relieved when the last King of Wales, again socialist, retired, because he put 20-mile-an-hour limits on the whole of Wales. And then, of course, the new guy said, oh, no, vote for me, I'll lift it. It's back. 20-mile-an-hour limits, even on dual carriageways. That makes them so dangerous. You're going to fall asleep on a dual carriageway at 20 mile.
Well, we were down there, as you know, last week, and I'm not a fan of Wales. I don't like the weather. I think it's hideous. But I don't think it's quite the same in South Wales, is it? You're North Wales, aren't you? I mean,
Yes.
we avoided going over the Severn Bridge and the M4 and all of that. So because where we live, it's it's very easy to go up towards Coventry and Birmingham and down through Herefordshire, which is, oh my God, stunning, and down by Ross-on-Wye, Simmons Yat, Usk, and it was absolutely beautiful. The weather was great, absolutely beautiful, and we never heard any Welsh spoken at all, and we didn't actually hear many Welsh accents either. Very, very soft ones, But there were a couple of roads that were 20 miles an hour, and I have to say, yeah, it was like going back to the good old days when your dad had a first car that you had to crank.
I keep saying, for goodness sake, why don't we get a fella with a red flag and walk in front? I mean, that's the ultimate answer. Don't. We'll move on. We'll go back to students, can I say? In every country in the United Kingdom, they're wising up to AI. Well, they have been for years, getting their essays applied and cheating, in my humble opinion. Then they're not going into the subjects that they originally went to university for. They're saying, well, quite rightly, AI is going to have such an impression on graphic design, media studies, hooray. Sooner that dies a death from most unis anyway. They're changing their courses and they're changing their careers because they're going to be out of work if AI really makes up.
That's right.
It will. So beware of that one, people, and you already are. Well done. The other thing that's come out of all the AI bit this week is it really does affect your brain. If you're not using your brain to make that essay your own and do the investigation,
exactly,
instead of that and being lazy, then actually a part of your brain shuts down.
Of course it does.
Everything.
Gosh, if you don't use it, you lose it.
exactly
And
that.
I mean, that's why, I mean, I still am a great fan of the English language. When I was at school, I don't think it's something they do anymore, but in English. But I used to love doing précis, where you have a paragraph and you've
Yeah, and
got to,
that's it. That'll sort you out if anything will.
yeah, do away with X number of words.
Yeah.
And I still have that skill. And it does make you think. And if you have to use your brain, I agree. As it is, I think we only use about a quarter of our brain in our lifetime anyway, don't we? Our brain is just fantastic. And yeah, it's a number of people that say to me, "Oh, I'll just go on AI." I don't, I just think it's so lazy. And you say if you, I wonder if like in years to come, if they will see, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, playing devil's advocate, but I'm just wondering if you don't use it, if you're going to see more dementia and Alzheimer's.
Could well do. Let me tell you that I can spot most times when people are getting stuff through AI.
Yeah, yeah,
They can
yeah.
pick up the phrases.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I would rather scribe every time my own letters that I write to whoever, high up people, and I won't use AI. I will not use AI. I've got a very good command of the English language, and I know how to structure sentence and paragraphs and when to use semicolons and all of that, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing that, and I wouldn't want to use AI for anything I do with my job. I wouldn't want to do presentations that have been created by AI. I like to do my own research and create my own presentations. And there's a sense of achievement about that. You don't have a sense of achievement if you're using AI.
No, no, we want you to come through your writings, whoever you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're not going to do that, then you don't deserve your degree, do you? And what sort of
No,
person are you going to be when you go into industry?
exactly that.
And what happens when the when the internet goes down?
As it will, count on that.
As you know, because it happens to you, it happens to me.
Everything happens to me. Hey, listen, sticking with education, 1 in 7 primary school teachers is a man.
Don't.
Hooray! Well done, that man. He's the
I
only
think that,
one.
well, yes, as long as they are a man and not Mr. Moots,
Yeah.
non-binary. I mean, non-binary is really good, isn't it? I don't know what I am, children. I don't know. So I am Mr. Mooks, MX. I mean, who in their right mind would employ anyone like that? I mean, it's ridiculous.
There
And did
are
you see?
plenty, unfortunately, Mallory.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. When I was ahead, I would not have done that. I'm sorry. That's why I would be thrown out of education right now. Did you see? There was the other day, a teacher was sacked because she said something about transgender or something, and was it transgender? Anyway, she's lost her job, and my grandson who's at secondary school. Uh, the PSHE teacher, that's, social health, sex education, and all that, she happened to say that she thought this pronoun stuff and etc. is really quite silly. This is down in Watford. She got reprimanded with a warning.
It's dreadful.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And what is a 7-year-old supposed to do? For goodness sake, teach them to write properly and add up. I mean, it is ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. It's gone nuts. I mean, I honestly think now, if I was now having little people now, the way it's going, I honestly think I would homeschool because it's the only way to be apart and out of this ridiculous lefty wokey situation. It really is where you're poisoning kids' minds. I would honestly keep them at home because even if you do homeschooling, you've got groups that you belong to. You go out on trips together. You have times that you're not solitary on your own. But I mean, it seems to have lost somewhere along the line that we were going to have a register, weren't we, of children who are being homeschooled, and that seems to have faded away. But that is necessary for the people that aren't doing it for absolutely solid reasons. But when you see what's going on in schools and how these children are being funneled into something, it's just wrong.
It is, and America are ahead of us again in this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
Coming
Trump
out
is
in
well,
droves.
Trump isn't having any of it, is he?
No, they're coming out in droves and being homeschooled, and it's not surprising. So let's get back before we leave it entirely about the men and their, as men, uh, attitudes towards the children, and whether the children need men in primary school or should they wait till secondary school, where it's not much better. It is better. The
I think
ratio.
they do need men. And when I go into the schools and I see men on the staff, there are very few, but I always say it's great to see you because, there's a lot of like tongue in cheek. Oh, what are you? Oh, you like little kids. Oh, that's rubbish. I do think though, I think they're a different type of man. You're softer somehow. You're not as if you're in a secondary school and you are dealing with the great unwashed of year nine. You know what I mean? You've got to be pretty tough, and secondary schools absolutely need men. But I do think little people, especially with the way the society is now. There's a lot of divorces. There's lots of mixed up families, and I do think men have an important role in bringing up children, including in education. And I like to see it. I really do like to see young
That's
people.
interesting you saying that because again, just released this week a new figures. Female single parent families, just counting the ladies, 15% now in Britain. That's an awful big proportion.
Mm,
Maybe
mm.
without us poor men.
Well, you can't. We don't live in a single sex society. We need that input from men, and um, I, I mean, I think I always say it's a terrible thing to say this, but when I have seen head teachers of primary schools who are male, you think you wouldn't last 5 minutes in a secondary school. But at the age group that they are really, really good at, I think it's a good influence for boys. And I'm not saying a father figure, but I do think boys need it. But having said that, of course, you know what happened to my children? The paedophile was the only male on the staff and he was a head teacher. So I did become quite poisoned by that for a while that, why would you want to go into, it's positively weird. It's not positively weird. I just think that was an unusual situation. Of course, it does happen, but it happens in secondary schools. You're going where there are children, you're going to attract creeps. That's a given in any organization because that makes it easy for them, doesn't it? But I do, and that's why I chose the school in the first place because there was a male head teacher, and I thought because I had a little son, I thought that would be a good thing. And I do think because they they do get a bit more. They understand what it is to be a boy, and I think some menopausal middle-aged women who should have retired do not have the patience to understand. I used to love teaching boys. I think they're funny. I think they're funny. I don't think the education system suits a lot of boys. And I think they can understand that side of a lad. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
They've gone through puberty. They know what it feels like. They
well,
they
that is news.
understand.
Man, we went back into if I went back into education, I'd like to be primary because who wants to get the problems now of a secondary education where there's generally in many schools just no law at all.
Absolutely.
Nobody
Yeah,
obeys the
absolutely.
no
You,
law
you you
anyway.
can't. There's no respect for some of the teachers. And yet I think if you're a special measures school, you get strong head teachers, some that even come out of retirement that are put in place. As my friend was, who used to work at Wellington College, and he went literally day two of his retirement. They asked him to go and turn around Ampleforth College, which we discussed last week. And he was a brilliant head teacher, brilliant. But you have to have the ability to have the staff on board. A safe school means you have all staff on board feeding into you. You don't divvy them up to, oh no, you're the cleaners. We don't talk to you. You have to literally all on board together. This is the new regime, blah, blah, blah. This is why we need to do it. This is why we need to be proud of the school. Da 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 da. This is the expectation I have of you, and therefore that rains down on the children and the parents. So it's not difficult to do it if you have the right personality of, and certainly a left winger won't do it.
No, indeed. Come on,
And I
we
don't understand all this left wing, right wing. Some of it is just downright common sense. And having a spine to say, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this the best thing we could be doing or not? How can we do a better job? Red, right, left, centre has no place in this.
all right, never did, but does, unfortunately.
Exactly, exactly.
We're running out of the dear old time thing again, but we've got to mention envy from our socialist friends, the real lefty, because that's driving so much of politics at the moment. And I'm referring to the schools envy. Oh, we've got to tax these rich parents, and we'll have 6,000 extra teachers, and we'll have a more fair society. Wow, has that rebounded? There's not been one calculated of the 6,000 teachers. They say there is, there's not coming through into our mainstream education system. It's purely socialist envy, this, and it's spreading in dangerous ways. Okay, VAT, you've got to pay it now on education. Now, the rich are not affected. They found a way around it. The really rich, you pay your school fees several years if you can, up front.
That's all right.
And there's
They've
no
had,
VAT.
yeah, they've received 500 million so far, haven't they, in school fees?
Indeed, it's 500 million there. That's
Yeah, before all this. But what is so sad is that, which of course Rachel Reeves and everybody, Keir Starmer said would not happen. It was going to happen. It was obvious it would happen, because not all independent schools are uber wealthy. They're not all
no,
eating
yeah.
And 50 independent schools have closed, and that is outrageous. Outrageous. And then it's how many children is it? 10,000, 20,000 children
10,000 children have gone into the states.
and now have to go into state schools that are already overwhelmed and oversubscribed. And some of these schools were private, independent, special schools. We don't have enough places anyway for special, for children that have got special needs. And it was giving them a chance. And one of the schools I know, he does an enormous good with special education. His school is down 2 million pounds in income because of this VAT thing, and he was really good. He offered bursaries to children that were struggling, but that came from that otherwise could not have gone to a private school without getting good education. He's taken in some children from Ukraine. He has children with special needs or whatever it is. It's not a boarding school. It's a brilliant day school in Maidenhead. And he does a fantastic job. But even so, and he's very generous with what he offers for people to give them a leg up and a chance. But his fees so far since this came in, he's down £2 million, and it's outrageous. It's outrageous. It doesn't, and they're not getting enough, are they, to really make a difference? Truly.
No.
And anyway, I tell you what, though, how come they've got no money, but how come they found 100 million to do the boats? Where's that suddenly come from?
Yeah, well,
I mean, minting it. They must be minting it in the back offices of House of Commons or something.
Certainly the lawyers are minting it in all this, as we well know. Let's just touch on something else before we fly off. That is, I suppose it's an educational theme as well, in the sense that this is only the beginning. Neil Kinnock was the first to suggest about this, apparently, taxing a school's VAT, and he's sounded off again from his retirement on a mega pension from the EU from Brussels, let me add.
Of course.
And he's decided that this also should happen to private health insurance. So you've got to pay VAT and all the other taxes, and that's to drive people back, not into the education system, but into the NHS that is so overwhelmed you couldn't believe it. But
Absolutely.
this is this type of socialism, I'm afraid. The state is best at everything. You go back in, whatever the consequences. And that's the next thing that will happen.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, if you do, because I've used it twice with Roger out of sheer desperation, and that allowed a space in the NHS. You were one less person on the list. But now, because they won't accept the diagnosis from the private consultant, we are back on the list again because Parkinson's nurses and all of that can't accept a referral from a private consultant, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Unbelievable. Let me go to something finally. We've got to go about freedom of speech, of course. And it's highlighted by a street preacher in Bristol. And there he is. And he's been doing it for 5-6 years, actually. And he's not aggressive, but he holds the Quran in one hand, and I suppose he holds the Bible in the other. And he's comparing them. You know, this is what the Quran says, this is what the Bible says. And he's been had by the police.
I know, been arrested.
Shortly. And he was literally, verbally, and physically, I am advised, allegedly, attacked. His wife was listening to the mini sermon or whatever it was. She was threatened, and he was threatened by 2 Islamists.
That's right.
Muslims. There is a difference. And they said, we're going to knife you.
Yeah.
And the police were there, overheard everything, and the street preacher
was arrested.
And if that isn't two-tier search,
absolutely, absolutely. If you and I were down the street tonight and we started threatening anybody else with a knife or whatever it was, we'd be arrested. We would be arrested. And yet, yeah, it's two-tier. It's transparent. It's awful. It's awful. That's the thing. That's the thing that this teacher got arrested. That's why she lost her job. I beg your pardon. She lost her job because she mentioned two-tier care.
Yeah,
and therefore she lost her job. And it was in where you were discussing, like you do in PSHE, you do discuss all sorts of things. And she lost her job because of that. It's dreadful. But I mean, well, hopefully on appeal she'll get back in. But you know, it's just.
Yeah, we have to fly, literally. And listen, we've got a situation here where we'll see you very shortly. But if we haven't cheered you up, I'm sure we have. Do something about it. These pink ladies are doing something about it, bless them. Well done, them. They're taking a stand, sitting on the pavement and saying, we're not having any more of this outside immigrant hotels, let's call them. So there we are. We all could do something.
You can have a silent protest. I remember joining a silent protest in London once over child abuse and everything. You can do that, and you can still become a nuisance by being silent.
You've been on a silent protest. I'm teasing. Right.
Have a good day.
We get on to you. See you shortly.
Bye.